Hi, welcome to the Unusual Suspects. My name's Rob Gargiulo. I'm your host, and joining me today, our normal cast of Unusual Suspects. We have Humberto. We don't say his last name, Humberto. We have Connor. We have Brandon, and you, who are joining us watching at home. If you have not done so already, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you can join us for future episodes of the Unusual Suspects. We're live every Tuesday at 6 p.m., so make sure you like and subscribe. Today, episode 162 of the Unusual Suspects. Lots of great stuff coming up for you today, including Is Donald Trump Dead? There is a death at Burning Man. There is a Hollywood, would you call it a franchise? Because they made one movie, but then they remade it with The Rock as well. So it's not a franchise, just a movie.
You need three for a franchise.
Yeah, so like Jaws, that had 3. Rocky had 3. What else had 3? Ghostbusters had 3, but one of them was like the female one, so that doesn't count.
No, Alien.
I've never seen any of them.
Well,
That's
any
unfortunate.
Of the alien ones?
It's the
I've
best
never
sci-fi
seen
movie ever.
It's feminist propaganda.
What? Oh, because it's a woman that's taking out the alien?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Women, this is going to sound sexist.
That-
Women superheroes don't do it for me.
Well, she wasn't a
That
superhero.
really
She was just a lead role, and that was offensive at the
Well,
time.
she was the hero of the movie, though.
which
You're
is
right.
far-fetched.
Superhero was not the right
That's
term.
why it was sci-fi.
Here's all I'm saying, man. I won't stand.
nobody
I
got
won't
that.
stand for
Wow.
any
I
Ellen
thought
Ripley
that was a good
slander
one.
on this podcast. Alien is great. Sigourney Weaver did fantastic in those movies. I stand by it.
She was also great in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So Ghostbusters, a franchise minus the chick ones. There's a movie out there that has been based on the story of a sheriff who was his wife was murdered and he was targeted by an outlaw gang. It turns out the whole story is made up. We will get into that. There is a Epstein press conference coming up, and we have some Saudi outrage. People upset with Tim Dillon and other comedians performing in Saudi Arabia. We'll get to all of that in just a few minutes. If you have not purchased any of the fantastic merch that we have here, including the Angry Patriot shirt, Vinny not here today. He's traveling. Usually wears the Angry Patriot shirt. You can get the Angry Patriot collection and all Valuetainment merch at vtmerch.com. And if you have not done so already, next week is the big Vault Conference. Go to Vault Conference 2025. I believe it's vault2025.com. Is that the website? Yeah. Anybody know? Yeah. You just said, yeah? Okay. Vault2025.com. Next weekend, Martha Stewart, Patrick Bet-David, Tom Ellsworth, Tony Robbins, and David Falk, all at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando. That is next week. If you have not gotten tickets, do so again, vault2025.com. Let's jump right into it. Is the President of the United States dead? That was the rumors over the course of the weekend. False Trump is dead rumors trended on X on Friday and Saturday after the president had not appeared publicly since a midweek cabinet meeting. We have a whole bunch of influencers who were stating that the president was dead. It's very odd. The president's not seen for 2 days and he's dead. We didn't see Joe Biden for weeks at a time, and nobody ever said anything. Do you remember the week before he went to debate Donald Trump and ended up ending his second run for president, ending Joe Biden's second run for president? Joe Biden was on vacation for a week in Camp David. Nobody saw him. Nobody heard from him. The only time, there was like weeks at a time over the course of last summer where Biden was off the radar, and the only time you'd see him is if he was out to get ice cream or he was out to ride bikes. And nobody ever questioned whether he was dead. We kind of did.
He'd usually fall over while he was out too. Like the one place you'd see him was when he was on vacation in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
Yes.
He's like on a beach chair. From a distance, somebody snaps a picture. The guy looks like a corpse laid out in a lawn chair.
Oh, man, Trump's reaction to that was so funny. Remember him walking on the beach. He has terrible legs.
Yeah, well, because he did the weird shuffle. And remember, I mean, okay, yes, we questioned whether or not the president was all there. I don't know if and some of us may have questioned whether or not he was a clone. I'm not speaking for myself. But we definitely questioned Joe Biden's mental faculties. We never questioned whether or not he was alive or dead. We just didn't think that they would hide. I mean, now looking in hindsight, how they hid his mental deficiencies, they could have hidden whether or not he was dead and they cloned him. But the left ran with this all weekend long. This is the only thing that was all over Twitter, all over Facebook, was that Trump is dead. Here are some trending tweets. 81,000 posts for Trump is dead on X. He's dead. 3,100 posts. Where is Donald Trump? 6,700 posts. Please let it be true. 2,300 posts. That's insane that there are people that are wishing for the death of a sitting U.S. president, and no one mourns the wicked. 7,451 posts on X. I believe we have some video as well of some of the liberal commentators. Could we play? First up, this is David Pakman, who got caught last week in dark influencer money. There's a company that's paying Democratic influencers $8,000 a month, and according to reports, David Pakman, allegedly one of those influencers who's accepting that money. Here's David Pakman this weekend, not talking about getting paid to spew Democratic-leaning talking points, but instead questioning whether or not President Donald Trump was alive.
Is Donald Trump alive right now? I don't think I'm asking the question literally. I mean, he probably is. But where is Trump? Donald Trump has not been seen publicly for 3 days on video since that disaster cabinet meeting from Tuesday. I put out a tweet. I put out a a Blue Sky post, a Substack note.
How much were you paid to post
saying,
that?
Has anyone seen Donald Trump on video over the last 3 days? I looked through all of the replies, and there is no video of Donald Trump from the last 3 days. The White House put out a tweet with a picture of Trump in the Oval Office because of some new knick-knack or tchotchke that they have in there. But of course, that picture could be from any time. Donald Trump's Truth Social account put out a couple of posts. Of course, these could have been written by anybody. And at least one of them strangely uses the M dash, typically associated with ChatGPT writing. Another one uses the word literally, not something that Donald Trump does in his Truth Social posts. And then we have news of the temporary flight restriction known as a TFR. Donald Trump was scheduled to fly to New Jersey tonight to deliver some remarks. A TFR was filed with air traffic control, and then the TFR was canceled, which suggests that Donald Trump is not going, even though nothing publicly as of this moment has been said as to why he's not going or why this has been canceled.
So if you hear that, the TFR from this total fucking retard was canceled. Trump was not supposed to fly. That must mean he's dead. And that's what the left continued to run with. I believe we have Maxine Waters as well. Here's Maxine Waters on. I thought they branded it as MS Now. It's still MSNBC. When does MS Now take over?
I think it'll be a few weeks until the rebrand is complete. Well, it's MS No One's Watching. But
this is Maxine Waters, who is 147 years old, talking about the missing president on MSNBC.
I want, even though I know it may not happen, the cabinet that he's appointed, a bunch of his sycophants who probably won't do what I would recommend. It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness.
Oh, she froze, or did the screen freeze?
I think that was a glitch.
Well, because when you get to that age, if you look at Mitch McConnell, he froze a few times, and no one ever explained that. And she just looks odd. This all comes on the heels of Donald Trump having bruised hands. There's the hands. So everybody's worried about that. Was according to Caroline Levitt, aggressive handshaking. Does anybody here believe that aggressive handshaking causes that type of bruising on an elderly man's hand?
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's possible, but also like he's old and you get bruises when you're
Shake
old.
my hand. All right. Look, let's hold up our hands. Yeah. I'm going right here on Brandon. That is, I could maybe see if I do that multiple times a day, maybe there's a little, but now we're just holding hands.
We can you're getting crushed right here.
Oh, I could crush it
And
with this fucking hand off. All right.
You have very small thumbs.
And these are the money makers. You can't break these. Okay, but do you really, that just seems odd to me. You look at that hand, that doesn't, like my Nana used to get bruised. When you get to that stage of life, 78, 79 now, yeah, you're going to bruise easier. But that definitely doesn't look like just from shaking hands to me.
No, but years ago, my grandfather was on blood thinners, like just standard routine stuff that gets prescribed to someone who's in their late 70s. He was over at our house. He was walking through the kitchen. He bumped his hand on the kitchen counter, like just delicately bumped it. Giant bruise popped up because blood thinners and an old elderly person's body tend to create bruises like that. So for anyone who's trying to say, oh, Trump's on the brink, we watched Joe Biden trip going up flights of stairs and fall off bicycles.
Well, in fairness,
and-
Trump has also fallen upstairs
Yeah.
in recent months.
Exactly. This is why there's a problem with geriatrics being our president, regardless of which party they're
Maybe
from.
he punched the wall from how little he's getting done as president. He was like,
Well, that would be the
Brandon,
knuckles,
come
and it
on.
wouldn't be the back of the
Come on.
hand.
Well, maybe
Maybe he backslapped JD Vance. We're not getting enough done, JD Vance.
All right, this whole thing is ridiculous. All right, and the accounts that started posting this are those, raw alerts and Patriot News and all these guys. Like, what's the Wallace guy that I blocked him?
oh, Matt Wallace.
Oh my god,
yeah, poison.
He is the worst. It's just
He
clickbait
is
after
the worst.
clickbait after
I know
clickbait.
he's the worst. And how about that Asian guy?
that works for
Ian
Musk.
Miles Chung,
Yeah.
who actually lives in Malaysia and has never
never left
been
Malaysia.
to the United
Alright,
States of
so-
America.
So this is my theory. They ran out of news. They absolutely ran out of news. They needed something to get their monetization going on the weekend. They made this up.
Yeah, but if you're David Pakman, why do you got to get on and do this? You're already cashing an $8,000 a month check from the Dark Money Group. What was the Dark Money Group? Do you guys remember?
Was it Arabella? I think.
No,
that was one of the ones. That got-
Chorus.
was
So
the group.
according to the reports, he's already accepting $8,000 a month. Do you really need to go? I guess that's how you continue to grift the
Yeah,
grift, is you
it's
keep
contingent
pushing this
upon
bullshit.
these
get a
things.
grift the grift.
Well, this
All
is
right?
also part of it is that they so desperately want it to be true. They are trying to speak it into existence just through sheer hope. You know, you don't hear from Trump for less than 48 hours, and you assume he's dead. And as so many people have pointed out, like we even said,
But they're like
you used to
campaigns,
not
though.
hear from Biden for like 3-4 weeks at a time.
It's not organic though. These are like organized campaigns. I mean,
Exactly.
It's like the people like Jack Posobiec and Benny Johnson and all the losers that post in unison. Like they post
They're
the
not
exact same.
losers.
I mean, they
like
spend
those
their
guys.
entire days on their knees.
No, but they were
For
cooking
Trump.
the other day. Now,
But they say the same exact thing at the same exact time. So that's loser shit.
It is, and we've accused the left of doing the same thing. So when the right does it, you also do have to call it out. And if we're gonna call out David Pakman for being allegedly paid $8,000 a month from Chorus, then we also have to point out that Benny Johnson has been accused of buying his YouTube subscribers. So, none of this, like all of this game, the more that you're in it, the more you go, man, this is shady, that's shady. That's why I got to be honest. I like working for a company here. We're pretty transparent about things. To my knowledge, we've never taken any money, despite all of the APAC claims. Adam has said on the podcast, pay me, APAC. I'm looking for a payday. We've never bought subscribers. We've never bought views. We're transparent as we can be with our numbers, but then you see that there is grifting on both sides of this. If the accusations about Benny Johnson are true, as well as the ones about
Well, that's
David
the thing
Pakman.
about the accusations of grifting. I am so sick of the word grifter because nobody knows what it means anymore. They just apply it to anyone who does something that makes them money. Like this is the setup we are now in, where anyone who is slightly to the left of you on an issue is, a cuck, a rhino, a sellout, a deep stater, a globalist. Anyone who's to the right of you is a Fed who's trying to psyop you into committing January 6th again. And anyone who's at the same level as you, who's making more money than you, is a grifter, a sellout, and so this is why there's no movement. Nobody ever builds anything anymore because all you do is tear each other down. And obviously you don't want people to engage in malicious practices, but there's a difference between being sold out to foreign interests and paying for additional YouTube subscribers and then selling merch on a podcast. We get called grifters because we advertise shirts. That's not grifting. We are
making a
offering a
living.
product in exchange for money. If you don't want the product, don't buy the product. So it's an insane accusation. But you have this whole network, and like we were saying, it's on the right and the left, of people who just exist to churn out the same talking points over and over and over again in perfect unison.
Humberto, you've been patiently taking notes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so we get something of value out of this, so people at home can learn something. The average age for a president to die.
I got to think it's got to be somewhere in the 70s or 80s, right?
Younger.
80.
Oh, really?
80. Youngest president to die.
Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah, 80.
Yeah, but that's because he got shot in the face.
And he was the youngest president ever
Yeah.
to get elected.
46 he died. Oldest president to ever die.
Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
All
FDR.
right, 98. You guys were looking at my
Oh, wow.
notes.
No, I wasn't. I'm just taking guesses.
And I'm gonna make a bet right now. Trump is gonna be the first president to make it to 100.
Wait, no president has lived to 100,
No, the closest one was 98.
which was Carter.
Yeah.
Well, Trump himself believes he's going to make it to 100. These are the tweets over the course of the weekend. He trolled the trolls and came out and said, this is according to President Trump's Truth Social account. Never felt better in my life. Also, D.C. is a crime-free zone. President DJT. And then D.C. Drono put out.
Well, this is what Trump was responding to when he
So
said
DC
this.
He's one of those
Drano
guys, too,
pointed
by
that
the
out.
way.
Joe Biden. So DC Drano puts his post out to which Trump. So Trump responded to DC Drano.
Yeah.
That's got to be cool that the the president
Well, the
acknowledges.
White House
true.
tells him what to say,
Yeah, but
allegedly.
and to Brandon's point, if you look at like some of the people on the right we've mentioned, Jack Posobiec, DC Drano, these other people in
Loomer.
that sphere.
Matt
All
Wallace.
of them were the influencers invited to the White House to get copies of the Epstein files phase 1. Remember when they did that whole photo op? These were all
where they
the
came
guys.
out with the binders that said Epstein, but then phase 1 and then nothing else. And phase 1 wasn't even phase 1 because
these
phase
are
1
all
was stuff we already knew.
You know, Trump and MAGA sympathetic influencers who are all on the same wavelength about everything. And even though they do, or many of them do good work, you do kind of have to call out. There's a club. There's a group of people who get invited to cover these things and then engage with the president directly.
And before we move on, there is reason to believe that something was up because I saw this trending over the weekend and it made me think of Humberto right away. The pizza index spiked over the course of the weekend. Now, that normally happens when what happens, Humberto?
When there's a war coming up, maybe want to spread democracy, you know.
Spread democracy through violence. Normally, the pizza index goes up, and it was up over the course of the weekend. So I saw a lot of people tying that in. But Trump spoke today at 2:00 with the Department of Defense, so he is alive. He is, from all accounts, well. There has been no update on his condition that I'm aware of. Have you guys seen anything regarding him, his health, or anything like that?
Maybe his mental health.
I mean, now it's spun into, we were never actually trying to say he was dead. We're trying to say he's dying. His mental health is failing because suddenly it's okay to talk about declining mental health of a president. Again, this is why it's probably a good idea to stop having people in their 70s and 80s hold executive office in the United States, maybe somebody a little bit younger, which is why it's kind of funny when you see all these Democrats talking about, we need to invoke the 25th Amendment on Trump, as if President J.D. Vance would not be so much worse for everybody, because the left will hate him because of all the stuff he's doing that's like Trump but with more youthful energy, and then the right's concerned because this is a guy who might kind of be controlled by Palantir and some other big tech stuff. So anyone who's calling for the 25th Amendment, like, know what you're preparing for here.
And J.D. Vance came out this weekend and said he was ready if tragedy strikes. A lot of the left used that as evidence that Trump is dead and J.D. Vance is your new president of the United
They
States.
misquoted him there because he said that, and immediately after he said like the president is healthy and is one of the greatest.
Well, they is Connor because he gives me the notes. Great job misquoting Connor. All right, let's move on to somebody who is very much dead, if you believe the official narrative, and that is Jeffrey Epstein. Not these two. These two are very much alive. That is Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, but the two of them are leading a bipartisan effort to force the Department of Justice to release the Jeffrey Epstein case files through what's called the Epstein Transparency Act. On September 3rd, they will hold a press conference with 10 Epstein victims, many speaking for the very first time, they're demanding accountability and closure over the case. I got to imagine, I've talked about this before, but imagine that you're victimized by a sex trafficker. Already horrific, right? You're having sex with men for money or being forced to have sex with men without any type of compensation. But then on top of that, imagine it being a group of powerful elites. So you recognize them, you see them, they're on TV, they're in your face, they're in your newspaper, they're on your feed. And then on top of that, you speak out about it and no one believes that it happened. And everybody denies that the existence of something very harmful that hurt you even exists. I can't imagine what these poor victims are continuing to go through. And this has been going on since at least January 20th when Trump took over, because that's when we were like, all right, we're getting the Epstein files. Let's go. Tell us about Ghislaine Maxwell. Did Jeffrey Epstein really have Bill Clinton fly to the island? All of that stuff. And here we are almost 8-9 months later, and we have no more answers about Jeffrey Epstein today than we did on January 20th when the president took over, despite him promising to release the Epstein files, despite many people within the administration. You've seen the videos. I don't need to go through Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi telling you you're going to get this and then you not getting it. Here's Ro Khanna. He was also on, is this NBC News?
Yes.
NBC News. This is Ro Khanna. He is one of the 2 congressional representatives leading the bipartisan effort to release the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Here's what he had to say regarding the September 3rd press conference.
I'm very confident it will. I spoke to Congressman Massie. You had us both on a few weeks ago. We will have the petition live on September 2nd. We have all 212 Democrats committed to signing it. He has 12 Republicans. Only 6 of them have to sign it. What will be explosive is the September 3rd press conference that both of us are having with 10 Epstein victims, many who have never spoken out before. They're going to be on the steps of the Capitol. They will be telling their story, and they will be saying clearly to the American public that they want the release of the Epstein files for full closure on this matter.
Do you guys think that we will be any closer? Because at this point, you know, I see this trending a lot on Twitter, fatigue when it comes to certain groups of people. When you see a group of black people assaulting somebody in public, there's black fatigue. I've seen people have Jewish fatigue when it comes to Israel and the ongoing war in Gaza. I am at the point where I am Epstein fatigued out. I want answers, but I don't think we're going to get them. And it starts to make me question, what if there was no elite sex trafficking network to begin with? What if all of this was hearsay, and this entire time we've bought it hook, line, and sinker? We have spent years of our lives investigating this, trying to connect the dots, and what it turns out is that there are no dots to connect. Do you guys think that there is any chance we'll get any closer to any type of transparency when it comes to the Epstein files following the September 3rd press conference? Brandon, you seem like you want to go jump in.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, out of all the people that could release something, it's going to be Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, and I mean, I definitely think that there is an elite network of sex traffickers because there was one before this, and it's the same pattern where they kind of get away with it and it disappears, and people who are close to it die who are talking about it, and they kind of guide your attention away from it. So
the Franklin scandal is what you're referring to. And for the people at home who don't know what the Franklin scandal is, can you give them a quick 10-second synopsis of what it actually is?
Exact same thing that happened with Epstein, except in Nebraska, and same thing where there's a lot of political elites that were allegedly involved in it.
And this is the late 80s, early 90s that this took place in. So this predates Jeffrey Epstein. However, when you start looking into Jeffrey Epstein's background, Jeffrey Epstein was very much involved in different international dealings during that time. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that during that time, while the Franklin scandal was ongoing, Jeffrey Epstein was also running his own blackmailing scandal of his own, or operation.
He started right when that one collapsed.
So they end Franklin scandal,
87.
and then 87 they end Franklin scandal. Well, by that time, Epstein's already involved allegedly in arms dealings in the Iran-Contra scandal,
right?
Correct?
But the sex stuff kind of starts in 87.
Okay, so he starts in 87, carries that on up until 2019. Well, was he still ongoing? Yeah, because Ehud Barak was seen at his apartment like 30 times after the original conviction in 2006. So after Epstein ends, who's the one that took the ball and ran with the blackmail?
We don't know that. I wonder if, what's his name? The guy that was on Nick Bryant's knows that. I don't think he does. I think there would be a lot more attention to it if somebody did know that. But I'm almost positive that there is a exact clone replica of that system that's up and running today, alive and well.
Connor, do you believe, A, that there are sex trafficking blackmail operations that exist within the United States government? And B, do you believe that are ongoing now after Jeffrey Epstein? And then B, do you believe we will get the Jeffrey Epstein files ever released after the September 3rd press conference?
And I definitely think it's occurring. There's so much evidence that points to it, whether it's one massive coordinated thing with, intelligence connections all around the world, or it's just individual members of the government soliciting prostitutes who may or may not be underage. But as for whether we'll ever get answers on this, I'm not hopeful. I share your Epstein fatigue. Every single week I sit down to find stories for us to cover on this show, find topics for us to discuss. And there's always that one little Epstein thing that comes up. It's like, okay, do we talk about it? Or are we bored? Are we bored as hosts? Is our audience bored?
There was a turning point. The turning point for me came when it was the Department of Justice released the interview with Ghislaine. And at that point, I was like, man, I don't even care. Like, I felt weird saying that, but then I could tell on our end that the views started to drop on the Epstein stuff right around the time of that release. So for me, it's like I'm fatigued out, and from what I'm seeing, the audience also fatigued.
Yeah, and like guys in the chat, as you're watching this, let us know if like you're still interested because we want to continue covering it. It's very important. But the thing is, that means it's working. That means they're getting what they want, which is all of us throwing our hands up, and whether we believe it or not, we're ready to be done. We are ready to move on and find something else, find the new shiny thing, because this is no longer engaging for any of us. And that kind of means that they're getting what they set out to do. And it's important for us to have those, am I crazy moments of like, check why you believe what you believe. Why do I think, such and such about Jeffrey Epstein? Where did I get that information? But we've done that. We've gone back and we've looked at, okay, this is the sweetheart deal with Alex Acosta. We've read the original statements. We've read the newspaper reports. All of this is real. All of this is out there. So it's not like we're just losing our minds here. We were onto something, and they're now making us move away from it.
Humberto.
We didn't get to be bored. I don't care what the chat has to say, but you can't let this one die. Maybe we should stop, having the sprint mentality that everything is going to be dropped all at once. But I think people on the JFK conspiracy, they did very well. They held it up for 40 years?
There's a lot of people who spent their entire lives looking into that, which I can't even imagine.
But that's why they're running a marathon. You need to do a little bit here, a little bit there.
They didn't make much progress, though. Like, there's some people who spent 40 years of their life researching it, and they still think Lee Harvey Oswald did it.
I don't know.
That's a sad existence
there's
there.
There's got to be an end to it, though, because, like, okay, well, you would think that the end goal of the Kennedy research stuff would be the mass disclosure of all the remaining classified files. Well, we got that. What changed? What was clarified in that disclosure they did a few months ago? We covered it on the show. All we said was, look, you find evidence for whatever it was you think happened in these folders. If you think it was Oswald, evidence for it. If you think it was the CIA, evidence for it. If you think it was Johnson, if you think it was Israel, if you think it was the Cubans, the Russians, literally everybody had evidence in there.
The thing, Connor, that when you work this type of operations, people think on the binary, like things that are told and things that are not told. Like when you're told things, or it's out in the open. Sometimes when you tell too much, you can also hide things from the public. Like if you overload them with information,
80,000 pages of documents that nobody's going to go through.
You throw 80,000 pages, and they're like, "Oh, everything is out," and then you just like move on from the thing. And people are not, like, maybe out of the 80,000 that it was pretty much a nothing burger. Maybe in 4 years, someone is going to connect the dots on those documents. So I don't know. I think until the American people have like a reliable answer, this is going to still be in the news cycle. It's going to go up and down. Like we used to do, like this was the longest, I call them Epstein cycles that we had. It's been 8 weeks. But we usually run like 2 weeks Epstein cycles. So I don't know. Maybe the next one is gonna be shorter. It's gonna be longer, but it's gonna keep on coming up and then going away, coming up and then going away until we have a satisfactory answer for the American people.
I don't feel like we're any closer than we were.
We're not.
I feel like we're more confused and we're more discouraged by the releases than we are encouraged to continue searching for truth. Maybe that's part of the plan. Hey, we're going to tell them we're going to give them something. Then we're going to give them these binders filled with bullshit. Then people are going to go out. Now everybody looks at the people that came out with the binders. Who was it? Liz Wheeler, Jack Posobiec,
DC
Drano.
Did it fundamentally change your opinion of Trump, though?
It started to,
but it didn't.
The whole Epstein disclosure process, not that one incident, but the entire thing has certainly altered the way I'm viewing what's going on at the Trump administration.
Yeah, I can't imagine how it couldn't change your opinion of Trump in any way.
No, I think, and it's not just Trump. I think more the administration. We were promised transparency, and to date, we have gotten very minimal transparency. If anything, it seems like at times they're hiding just as much, if not more, information that the Biden administration hid from us,
changed my
which
opinion
is infuriating.
What changed my opinion of Trump, though, was when he came out and said, anyone who's still talking about this is a loser, and I don't want your support anymore.
After he asked the Department of Justice to cross his name out in the files.
So it's like that changed my opinion of a lot of things, and it kind of made me start to realize some of the other things that haven't quite been delivered in the way we were told they would be.
Well, today is what, September 2nd? So the press conference is tomorrow with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. So if you want to watch and get bamboozled by more bullshit, go ahead and feel free to. Let's move on to a different topic. Tim Dillon, the comedian, is catching heat for performing in Saudi Arabia. He is part of a group of, I believe it's 50 different comedians that are performing at the, is it Radaya?
I believe so.
Comedy Festival. Tim Dillon defending performing in Saudi Arabia. He's so ridiculous looking. Revealing he's being paid $375,000 for one show. Some comedians that are going to be on the bill earning more than $1 million. Tim Dillon argued that the payout from Saudi Arabia was enough money to look the other way regarding Saudi Arabia's record. Here's a clip from the Tim Dillon podcast where he defends performing in Saudi Arabia.
Now, people might say to me, hey, you're coming out and saying you're doing the Saudi thing for money. They're paying you a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you how much they're paying me. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much they're paying me $375,000 for one show. Now, a lot of other people are getting $1.6 million. That's not me. I'm not in that bracket. But they're giving me $375. Others are getting $150. Why are they doing it? Here's the point. Here's the point. Okay? I am doing this because they're paying me a large sum of money. They're paying me enough money to look the other way. Do you understand? Israel gave none of us any money and expected we were all going to just defend them. For what? For no money? For $0? The threat that I won't get a sitcom on ABC Family? I'm supposed to go out and defend this genocide because maybe I won't be on ABC I won't get to play a gym teacher on a network that won't be in business, and I'm supposed to care about that? Who gives a fuck? Where's the money, you bum?
I appreciate him at least being honest about it. Hey, yeah, Saudi Arabia's done some shitty things. Hey, they're paying me a lot of money, and I'm going to look the other way on those things. Do any of you guys have any problem with Tim Dillon being paid $375,000 to perform in Saudi Arabia?
I think he's worth so much more than that. And I mean,
not per show. I can tell you, I'm not talking out of school here. These guys
number
don't.
One though.
These guys don't normally make $375,000 a show. I can tell you because I have a friend who works in contracts for one of the largest concert promoting companies in the United States of America. When Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle were going out on tour together, they were doing dual headlining tours. Each one of them were being paid $1 million per show. And then each one of their opening acts got $100,000 per show. That's a lot of money, especially when you're these headliners who, for some shows, you're getting a door deal. Yeah. Which means, okay, I get X amount. Let's just say it's $5,000. I get $5,000 versus 80% of the door. Okay, that means that if 80% of the seats are sold, then I get whatever that amount is from the door. Mm-hmm. So there are door deals where guys are lucky if they'll make 10, 15, 20 grand a show. To make $375,000 on one show, yeah, you got to fly to Saudi Arabia. It can't be a quick flight, but I'm sure that they're covering the flight, they're covering the accommodations. This is the Saudi government. They have unlimited money. Yeah. I have no problem being upfront and open about it, but when I first saw that all of these comedians were performing in a country that funded 9/11, let's not forget that. Let's not forget the Saudi Arabian and the royal family's ties to the 9/11 hijackers, the fact that 15 out of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, that the bin Laden family lived in Saudi Arabia prior to bin Laden being kicked out in the mid-90s. The Saudi government is to this day still fighting 9/11 families in court to try and be absolved of guilt from it, and we're 25 years later. If I have a problem with anybody performing, it's not because of the things that the Saudi government is doing to the Saudi people. Such is your luck, I'm sorry. Ladies can't drive, they gotta wear burqas, they're not allowed to vote, whatever the case may be in the Middle East. 2,977 Americans died on September 11th, and more than likely the Saudi government at least funded the operation, if not helped the hijackers. And the fact that you're going to go over and perform for those people, I have a problem.
But Rob, you're going to be mad at Tim Dillon for doing a comedy bit there when our government hasn't said one negative thing about Saudi Arabia in my entire lifetime.
Well, they're both they can both be complicit in evil.
They're our gas station, though. So, like, let's start with the leadership. But, like, if we're going to have a problem with Saudi Arabia, let's let it come from the top. Like, let's not. I would go there in 2 seconds for a bunch of money too. Same thing with Israel. Like, I wouldn't kiss the wall, but I would go there for money too.
And I at least appreciate that you're upfront and honest about that. What I don't appreciate is when people try and hide it. That's why I'm saying I have no problem with what Tim Dillon's doing, because he's at least upfront. They're paying me a lot of money. Yeah, they're shitty people. I don't care. I'm going. And Humberto, you lived in the Middle East.
I lived in the Middle East. I mean, there's a few things to unpack here. First of all, I want this level of transparency on every public official. I would love for them to just come out and say this. Hey, by the way, we're gonna put some poison on the kids' formula, but don't worry about it. They're paying us a lot of money, so we're gonna look the other way.
Like, guess what? Buying Raytheon, then they're getting the contracts.
And we're starting a new work of Raytheon. You know, their stock is going down. Can you imagine like this level?
I would like them more.
I would like. I'd be like, okay, I know why they're doing this.
Well, that's what I plan to do when I'm in Congress if it's still legal in insider trade.
So that's the first thing. I mean, and it's pronounced Riyadh.
Riyadh. Okay.
Yes, that's the pronunciation. And I'm surprised, like from when I lived there, being gay was death penalty, like straight up. So they're hiring a gay man to go to Riyadh where being gay is illegal.
He's openly gay.
Maybe it's a very elaborate ambush. They're just waiting for him to come. Like, oh, we got him.
And but the thing is that like I grew up there 10 years. And they're willing to look the other way with those things.
And he's willing to look the other way.
Yeah, and they're both looking the other way.
Yeah.
Like, they better not be driving because someone needs to be looking at the road. It's a wonderful place, Riyadh, like very modern. And they've been doing a lot of work there. And do you know who else they're inviting to the festival? Do you see the other names?
I've seen some of them.
Go ahead. My God.
Isn't Dave Chappelle?
Right. Tom Segura, he's going there. Whitney Cummings, all right. Pete Davidson, Aziz Ansari, whatever.
Aziz Ansari, yes.
They'll start their own comedy league, like a live golf version of comedy.
Yeah,
Start
Jim
overpaying
Jeffries.
everybody.
Who else is here? Russell Peters, friend of the show. Gabriel Iglesias is going there as well.
I noticed there's no Jewish comedians on that
Bill
list.
Burr. Let me see.
Do you see a Jerry
No
Seinfeld?
Seinfeld?
No, that is a funny
I
observation.
can't think of any other Jewish comedians.
This is the list.
Which is weird because, according to the internet, they run the Hollywood entertainment industry.
Well, the guy Ari.
Yeah, there's not a single one. That is
Jeremy Piven.
No, Ari Shafir.
Oh, Ari Shafir. Yes. I don't.
Gosh.
Is he on that list?
Ari
Probably not.
Shafir.
I don't
No.
think anybody can come out now. Tim Dillon owned it. I appreciate the fact
did.
that he came out and goes, look, I'm bought and paid for. I don't care what you think about it. They're paying me a ton of money. You know how many shows at the Miami Improv you'd have to do to make $350,000 or
350,000 shows.
There's no people.
yeah, you have to make a
but Rob,
lot.
there's no people making that kind of money here in the States, right?
No, I mean, when it comes to sports, though, there's nobody paying like Live Golf is paying as well. So you look at it like they have unlimited wealth over there. They can do whatever they want when it comes to
But who'd be like the
entertainment and
top
sports.
comedian doing the top show right now?
Probably Chappelle.
Chappelle, and he doesn't make 300,000 per show.
No, he makes $1 million per show.
Here in the States.
Yes.
All right.
When he's touring.
But also with anyone who takes an issue with this, and like I said, there's plenty of reason to object to doing stuff with the Saudi government. They are up to their eyeballs in terrible things, although I'm sure most of the people who hate Tim Dillon for this would raise bigger issue about Jamal Khashoggi
I was just
than
about
they
to
would
bring
about
up-
9/11.
I was just about to bring up Jamal Khashoggi. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy that disappeared inside the Turkish embassy. They chopped him up in a suitcase, and then there are literally bodyguards, or I guess at that point, assassins that were filmed wheeling his body out inside of suitcases.
And that story has way more to it than just the Saudi government killed a journalist, because the guy's uncle is one of the most infamous arms traffickers.
Adnan Khashoggi, who,
Yeah.
if you listen to the interview that Daryl Cooper did with Tucker Carlson, where they talk about Jeffrey Epstein, they point out about Adnan Khashoggi's ties to Epstein. And by the way, if you actually really start diving into why they murdered Jamal Khashoggi, there are reports that it was done on film. The backstory to the alleged murder, from my understanding, is that when the Route 91 Harvest shooting happened in Las Vegas, done by Stephen Paddock, a man who had wealth from gambling, was retired, had no motive for the shooting, and it's a mass shooting we no longer talk about yet, despite it being the deadliest mass shooting in the United States. The reports are that at that time, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, was at the hotel that the shooting occurred at and was involved in some type of arms deal, but they were trying to actually assassinate MBS. And so the rumors are Jamal Khashoggi was killed. The filming of that was, or the killing was filmed, and then the killing was shown to other members of the Saudi royal family by MBS saying, hey, don't fuck around because this is what happens if you try and kill me again. Whether or not that's true or not, that is the long-standing backstory that I've heard regarding Jamal Khashoggi's death.
He was shit-talking him a ton. He was shit-talking MBS a ton.
Yeah, and needless to say, the Saudi government does terrible things. Like we said, Jamal Khashoggi has more nuance to it, but there's the 9/11 connection that we'll get into next week and something special we're working on. But people seem to be taking issue with this because Tim Dillon is an entertainer. Think if he was any other industry, if he was a construction guy who's like, yeah, I took a $375,000 construction gig in Riyadh. Okay,
good for you.
Is that nearly as much of an issue? If he sells cell phones, if he makes cars, like, you know, I'm going to work on exotic cars for a Saudi prince. Okay, are you held to the same standard at all? No, it's some weird thing for entertainers. How dare
and athletes, because a lot of the athletes that joined Live Golf also got blowback for joining the group.
That was a big blowback.
Yeah, and
how dare you provide entertainment for this evil government? You can provide them with infrastructure and luxury goods and commerce, but certainly don't make them laugh or, you know, entertain them by playing sports.
And when it goes to the 9/11 victims, the families of 9/11 victims suing the Saudi government, this happened last month. An August 2025 court ruling marked a pivotal moment in the lawsuit, the first time a federal judge deemed the plaintiff's evidence sufficient to allow a trial, thereby enabling a detailed exploration of the allegations under U.S. law. So, you know, it's almost the anniversary, the 25th anniversary of 9/11 is coming up in next week. And these families are no close. I mean, I guess they're getting a little closer to actually getting justice from the Saudi government, but it took 25 years to get to this point. I'm more interested in the 9/11 files than I am the Epstein files, the Diddy files, the JFK files, the MLK files, the RFK files. That's the one that they need to release. Release the 9/11 files. Does anybody here believe the 9/11 Commission? Anyone at this table?
No.
It's just like the what was
JFK files?
Yeah, well, no, what was the
Warren Commission?
The Warren Commission into JFK's assassination, which had members like Alan Dulles, who was on the board of it, who was also the head of the CIA at the time,
who got fired,
which was the organization that JFK was trying to disband when he was killed.
And so he fired Dulles.
To show how much the goalposts have moved on this, like I remember the first time I was in middle school and heard somebody say the expression "jet fuel can't melt steel beams." I was like, "Huh, that's interesting. I hope this doesn't, you know, shape the trajectory of my career and the rest of my life." And then
here we are.
Yesterday, I spent about 6 hours researching whether any of the planes on 9/11 actually existed or if they might have been holograms.
I'm so excited for this special.
So we've certainly gone a little bit off the rails here, but like, this is what that subject opens up. So stay tuned.
Let's pivot to a different awful government, or three of them merging into one. Are we on the brink of World War III? And I will explain why in just a minute, but this past weekend, and I believe that the actual military parade is happening tomorrow. It's happening in Beijing. Beijing September 3rd parade. It's a military parade that's going to have Kim Jong-un from North Korea, Vladimir Putin from Russia, and I believe Modi from India, all present and attending, which is, to my knowledge, I don't think the four of them have ever done something like this together. Have you guys?
I mean,
Modi's a little bit of a flip-flopper. The other three, they've done a lot of things, but Modi, I'm surprised Modi's not being more favorable to Trump, because he kind of goes in whichever direction the wind's blowing with how the U.S. is acting towards him.
The summit with Xi and Putin projects a coordinated anti-Western narrative amid a parallel military pageantry. Here's the headline. This is from the Telegraph. Xi welcomes Putin to secretive summit for axis of upheaval. Well, how secretive can it be if the Telegraph is reporting it and we're discussing it? It's supposed to take place tomorrow, and this comes on the heels of back in March, French hospitals were told to prepare for a potential major engagement. I'm sorry, not this past March. This happened this week. They're preparing for March 2026. French hospitals have been told to prepare for a potential major engagement by March of 2026, including surge capacity for wounded French and NATO troops and staging facilities near ports and airports. There it is, reported by The Sun. What's the date on that? That is September 1st, so that was yesterday. Even NATO, NATO's Mark Rutte warns Russia is rapidly rearming with help from North Korea and Iran. This is in regards to the Ukrainian war, urging faster Western spending and munitions output. There's all kinds of weird reports about what's going to be taking place at this military parade, including China unveiling their YJ 15, 17, 19, and 20 anti-ship missiles, advanced drones, including undersea drones. I've never heard of that before. And mobile ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, that I believe they claim can sink U.S. Navy ships. Here's another headline from The Telegraph. China to unveil, yep, there it is, U.S. ship-killing weapons on military parade. Does this concern you guys that the three, I mean, when you think of axis of evil, axis of evil was who? It was
the Nazis, Italy, and
but we also had an axis of evil in 2000s after 9/11. It was Afghanistan, Iraq, basically the whole Middle East.
It's just whoever we don't like at the time becomes
the axis of
whatever
evil. Was it called axis of evil during World War II?
No, those were just the Axis powers.
Okay, and then it became axis of evil in 2000.
Which
War on
they
Terror.
never called themselves that. We called them that because obviously they didn't consider. Oh, like we're the bad guys here.
And what did you call this one? Axis of upheaval.
They're referring to this as the axis of upheaval. And I with regard to your question of whether I'm concerned with the ship killer thing, maybe not. I feel like there's typically a huge amount of fear mongering that goes on with the Chinese military. Because remember, the Chinese military has never really been involved in an engagement against anybody except its own people. So that there can be a bit of a paper tiger in this regard of, oh, the Chinese have developed this new thing, and then the United States invests like a few $1 billion in building some aircraft carriers, and suddenly it turns out China never actually did the thing that we said. But with regard to their partnership with Russia, with North Korea, with Iran, and then weirdly with India, this is a bloc that's been forming for a while, economically in the form of BRICS, which we've talked about before, and Brandon can tell us all about.
And BRICS is Brazil, India.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But there's like 16 or 17 more nations that are either already in the bloc or are requesting membership. So it's basically the entire East and global South are forming this partnership that is anti-Western and trying to de-dollarize. So it's to push back against how the United States has weaponized the dollar in recent decades. And now these are military partnerships as well, where the people who are most hostile to us, who have ambitions that run counter to our national interest, are all partnering up and saying we're going to supply each other, we're going to support each other's war efforts. Russia is depleting itself in Ukraine, just like Ukraine is, but Ukraine is only holding strong because it's being supported by the West. Russia is now being backed up by all the nations of the East. So these are the battle lines that are being drawn economically and militarily. So that might be a little bit more concerning than a Chinese missile that could sink a ship.
If they genuinely could do anything to us to hurt America militarily, then we deserve to get wiped off the face of the earth if they could realistically pose a threat to us. Because if you stack up what we've spent in military over the last 10, 20 years compared to what all of them combined have spent on military stuff, there's no comprehensible reason why they should be anywhere close to us. And if they are, then that means that we've wasted a lot of that money, which I'm sure we waste a lot of it, but at least don't waste enough of it to the point where we have still a good enough lead, which I think and assume that we do. I think that's why our government's so psychotic with like pushing and daring Russia to nuke us or nuke somebody around them, because they know deep down that they're not even close to us. Like Trump has no desire to end this Ukraine war. Like are you kidding me? The deal that Russia wanted to make was they get the territory that they seized, and that we promised that Ukraine never joins NATO, and we said no to that. So we're still giving them weapons. We say no to a deal like that, so there's obviously no appetite or desire to end the war. The Europe is starving for war with Russia for some reason. France is so gung-ho about it. Keir Starmer's gung-ho about it. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe they want to lower their population or something. But
before I go to Humberto, you brought up nukes. Do you guys ever remember a time in our lifetimes where the term tactical nuke had been used prior to Ukraine and Russia?
No, the marketing team seems like they're trying to bring.
I've heard the term, before Ukraine started, but always in like it was like a Jack Bauer Mission Impossible kind of thing of they developed tactical suitcase nukes. They're smaller and portable, and you can smuggle them into a city and wipe out whole block. Like it shifted into a fiction term.
Well,
they're trying to normalize it.
That's what I was going to say, because it seems like there's like this weird normalization that was occurring at one point during the Ukraine-Russia war, where they were trying to make us okay with nuclear war, where they were like, there were articles where it's like, nuclear war is not so bad. Here's how you can survive. And I'm like, wait a minute. All of my life, I've heard if nukes go off, it's the end, and we're done. But then all of a sudden, they started going, well, it's not going to be that bad. It might be a tactical nuke. Well, that's still a nuclear device going off. Is that not grounds for nuclear war to happen? So it feels like over the past 18, 24 months, there's been this, hey, let's soften the ease of nuclear war. Hey, it's not so bad. It could be tactical. It'll be precision point. Yeah, some people are going to die, but not everyone.
Would you ever see the movie Vice?
What?
You ever see the movie Vice?
Yes.
So remember when they're trying to get people on board going into the war, and they have those stupid little propaganda rooms where they have the person with the circle of people like, all right, so who are you guys mad at? They're like, we gotta go bomb those fuckers in the Middle East. They're like, so we're gonna go there and take out the Taliban. They're like, who's the Taliban?
Yes.
And they're like, they want a country. We need to give them a country. Mm-hmm. So they're probably doing something stupid like that, where they're like trying out the term tactical nuke, and they're like, how do you feel about tactical nuke? It's like, it sounds better than nuke. So it's probably something,
Yeah, meanwhile, your skin's rotting off your body because a tactical nuke went off. You're like, well, at least it wasn't a real nuke.
And that's what I was going to say. Would you rather be stabbed by a sword? No, probably not. No, well, what about a tactical stabbing with a small knife?
Toothpicks.
Yeah, just stab
so
you a
bad.
bunch with a little one.
Humberto, does the China, North Korea, and India axis of upheaval concern you?
Not at all. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. All right. I follow a lot on, the progress the Chinese military is making. All those things are fake. It's all Timu. They try to copy by, like, they look at one of our equipment. They're like, I think this goes here.
Well, if you remember, there was when North Korea did a military parade. This was got to be 5 or 6 years ago. They were alleged to have used fake weaponry that was made out of cardboard.
Yeah,
or balloons.
Because the missiles, like the missile, like it would point up like this, and it just didn't make any sense.
They have some ridiculous equipment. They have this like single passenger like bicycle planes that they're trying to pedal. Like they're nowhere near for now. All right.
Well, their Navy has no range either.
But that's the thing. Like we shouldn't be like right now. It's not a concern. I'm concerned with what we're not doing as NATO, as Americans. For example, just in Europe, they're down. Like they need 20% more troops to meet the recruitment requirements. All right. So every country in Europe is 20% down. They're like missing 300,000 soldiers just to defend Europe. All right. So nobody wants to fight.
Well, who would get involved in something this stupid? Like you got Keir Starmer and Macron telling you we need to fight Russia for no apparent reason. So why would you sign up for that?
Well, I don't know. Nobody knows. Like Europeans at this point, if you read the news of what's happening in the UK, what's happening in Germany, they don't even know who they are anymore. Like they have no national alliance.
The United Europe Emirates.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And going back to the Axis thing, like I just did a little research, and apparently that was coined by Benito Mussolini on one of his speeches in November of 1936. He called it the Axis to unite Berlin and Rome.
To call himself the Axis of Evil?
No, not the Axis of Evil, the Axis.
Oh, okay.
That's what he called it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. This is and I think India is making a really bad move here. Like being involved in all this, they have so much to win with the U.S. and so much to lose.
No, please, India, continue partnering with all of these people. Like, send all your people over there. Go build their tech sector. We've had enough of the Indians.
And the last thing, I think Trump should have been invited. Like he will have so much fun there in the parade with all the like
he does love his parades.
He loves his parades. Imagine, like I think he's upset that he wasn't invited.
And can I be honest, I love parades too. Until the gays took him over, and now can't even enjoy a parade without a guy in a thong. Although we don't allow that here in Florida.
No,
Normally, when that stuff happens in Florida, people are like, no, weirdo. Put your pants on. You're not going to dance around kids. Do you guys think that any of this has to do with the ongoing trade war that we're currently involved in with both China and India, and then the sanctions that have been placed on Russia?
100%.
I mean, absolutely. It's all economic and military at the same time. It's those lines being drawn of the United States has one set of interests and the rest of the world apparently has another one. So do we continue to push on that and maintain our dominance? Or do we kind of let ourselves get sidelined into our own areas and let them do their own thing?
One final question. What is the biggest threat to the United States of America today?
Losing the reserve currency status.
Meaning?
Like, meaning that the dollar is not the global currency anymore. And, like, I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand with the rate of the cost of living that we're facing. And that's like.
So it's not a foreign enemy. It's an enemy here.
Yeah,
within our own.
abusing the status of being the reserve currency. That's more powerful than any military weapon we
Humberto?
have.
Energy and AI.
Energy and AI.
100%. We're not building enough nuclear plants to power the AI revolution.
We need tactical nuclear plants, and then we'll get them. Connor.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with the reserve currency, but also just the influence that comes with it. Corrupting that into something where we apologize rather than being a nation that makes everything better when we go and try to be involved in it, and that abusing our status as the reserve currency, losing technological wars, presidents like Obama going and apologizing for American exceptionalism. It's compromising on the vision that made us great in the first place.
1,000%.
Awesome. All right, well, let's move on. We have two more topics, and I want to get through them quickly. There was a death at Burning Man. This occurred over the course of the weekend. I've never been to Burning Man. Have any of you? I know I look like I probably
I would have guessed.
in a fucking tent.
I asked you last week. I was like, would you ever go there? He's like,
I see things like I went to a concert on Friday night with my son, and I was like, man, it's funny because I remember being at an age where I wanted to be and have lawn seats because I knew what happened up in the lawn.
Yeah.
Up in the lawn is where you played Cheeto fingers with the ladies. It's where you drank beer underage. Up in the lawn is where you may have dabbled in marijuana at times. It was fun being on the lawn.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten to an age where I was looking at the lawn seats and I'm like, I went on Friday night to Blink 182 in Tampa. I took my 16-year-old. I'm like, man, lawn seats are only $20. But for 120, I could be in a shaded area with nice seating. I don't have to bring my own chair in, and I don't got to be around a bunch of 14-year-olds smoking reefer. Okay, I'm good. So I've gone from the I want to do fun things part of life to, okay, what can my financial status afford me to enjoy? Right? Like, I can afford to enjoy an actual seat. There sounds nothing fun about going to any type of festival ever. Whether it's Gathering of the Juggalos, I'm sure those are fine people. But every time I've ever seen a Gathering of the Juggalos and you look at the parking lot, it's Honda Civic, Honda Odyssey minivan, Toyota Corolla from 92. You never see somebody pulling up in like a Bentley at a Gathering of the Juggalos. Nope. And I think the same thing would apply to the Burning Man festival.
Well, Burning Man is exclusively for Silicon Valley homosexuals. That's
right
pretty
in.
much it.
Valuetainment homosexuals is me.
It's very expensive. Very expensive.
To go to Burning Man?
Yeah. It's extremely expensive.
What is... So I know that they have the big effigy and then they light on fire.
No.
A few years ago, there was a guy that ran into it. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, my God.
A guy died. It was 2023. No, 2017.
So, yeah, I remember seeing the footage of the guy running into the effigy or whatever they call it and then not running out. But this go around, a man was found lying in a pool of blood around 9:15 Saturday evening during the burning of the effigy. The death is being investigated as a homicide with the victim not yet identified and no arrests announced. Here is a news story. What is this? The Associated Press?
Yeah.
Man is found dead at annual Burning Man festival in Nevada, a sheriff's office says. We were just in Nevada.
Crazy place.
Were you? Oh no, you guys met us in California.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that first of all, duh, it's a desert and it's going to be hot and it's a summertime. Does any of that sound appealing to you guys? We're going to go out to a giant festival in the middle of the desert, in the middle of Nevada, in the middle of August. We're going to burn a giant structure, be surrounded by other dirty perverts who aren't washing, and what is fun about any of that to anybody?
It stresses me out to think about it.
Well, you realize that there's also like health conditions that you get exclusively from this, right? It's on a
HPV.
Yeah, but there's also something called playa foot, which is like it's this bacterial infection you get from the dirt in the area of the desert where they go because it's like so contaminated and this condition that you get just walking around barefoot. And they're just, oh yeah, like here's the soap you treat your feet with to try to mitigate, not immunize yourself from it, just mitigate the effects of the irritation and the infection. And like, it's a bunch of dirty Silicon Valley hippies who go out there to do drugs and have sex. And
gay sex.
It's like Woodstock with demons instead of Jimi Hendrix.
And no music.
Wait, there's no music at the festival?
No, it's a spiritual experience where you burn the temple and the effigy. Like,
so there's not like a stage
No,
and Foo Fighters comes out and
bet
plays.
there's a few stages and some people come out, but it's not a music festival.
it's not like someone's going to headline Burning Man.
And I have the prices here, like ultra budget. All right, this is from Wire magazine. You're looking at $1,500 to $2,000. All right, mid-level of comfort, they're just middle of the road. You're talking between $4,000 and $5,000. All right, and luxury camps go between $5,000 and $10,000.
What's a luxury camp look like?
They have toilets.
I can't imagine. Okay, so no one here has ever been.
No.
I don't see any of us ever going, mostly because of the whole we're not Silicon Valley homosexuals.
Yes.
Satanic
Silicon Valley.
Also, not to get all
dirty,
tinfoil-
hippie homosexuals.
Not to get all tinfoil hat on you, but if you go back to this Associated Press article, the entire thing is in the Black Rock Desert, and the guy was found dead in Black Rock City, which is the tent area that they have set up there. So it's like, why is it that anything anything to do with Black Rock?
Saturday at the Gathering in the Black Rock Desert, about 110 miles north of Reno. And down at the bottom, it says Black Rock City.
Black Rock City.
What? So I was in Vegas 3 weeks ago. You could not, and I'm used to the heat from Florida. I'm used to walking from my house to my car and getting back sweat. It's just what happens in the state of Florida between, mid-May all the way up until October. I was not prepared for the heat in Vegas. They call it a dry heat. I had no idea. Like, ever hear, oh, it's not that bad. It's a dry heat. Oh, it's bad. And so I can't imagine being out in the desert for how long's the festival? 3 days?
I think it's
a couple days.
It's long. It's more than that. And part of the luxury area is that you get air-conditioned tents. Anything outside of that,
Alligator Alcatraz. They had air-conditioned tents.
but anything outside of those top-tier ones, I'm pretty sure it's you bring your own fan and make do with what you can.
That's filthy.
But from what I saw doing the research, it's just tech bros and OF girls just trying to like walk around naked.
And someone who
That's not
had
so bad.
Hold on a second. You guys made it sound like it was gay fest.
Yeah.
This sounds a lot
that
hotter
too.
now, Brandon.
Let's
We're gonna
go next year.
well, somebody
We're
who
going to
had
end up in the gay city.
We'll document it.
somebody who had really interesting commentary on this was Nicole Shanahan, who you'll recall was
RFK's
Jr.'s
running mate.
Also the ex-wife of Sergey Brin
Yes,
from Google.
so I'm assuming she's been to these
She's
before.
been to them. But last year, she very notably converted to Christianity. And she just wrote a whole thing that she posted on X and I believe shared across a couple other platforms as well, talking about her experiences at Burning Man now in light of her new Christian faith, and talking about the entire thing is literally a demonic ceremony. Like, the people go there to engage in hedonism and mind expansion, and it concludes with the burning of a weird effigy that you throw all your negative energies into. Like, it is an offering, and the people who organize it talk about it as it's not just a ritual we do. It's an actual offering to something they believe is higher than them.
So what's crazy is hearing you talk about that. Then when people like us question it, they're like conspiracy theorists. But then you look at Bohemian Grove with Alex Jones, what he uncovered there. Same situation. A bunch of people getting together. This one in the middle of the woods, more secretive. You can't actually go inside of it. And then they gather for what? To do rituals and then burn a giant owl. And then we're weird for going, hey, that's weird that a bunch of grown men. What did you just show them?
No, I didn't show him anything. I was looking at when did Burning Man start.
Oh, so to me, why are we the weird ones for calling out when other adults are doing weird things? Then the people are like, you're obsessed with the weirdos doing weird things. It's like, yeah, wouldn't you be obsessed with weirdos doing something weird? Yeah, it's okay to question
And
that.
for anyone who would deny like a weird religious connotation to it, festivals like this happen all over Europe in like ancient pagan civilizations. The Wicker Man festivals in, I believe it's like the Scotland and Ireland, for example. Like these effigy burnings used to happen all over the place, and they were always accompanied by very elaborate rituals, often sexual displays, sometimes human sacrifice.
Connor, did you ever get into talking about Black Rock, about the
wow.
worship of the planet Saturn and the Black Rocks?
The black cube.
Yeah, the black cube in
cube.
Mecca is another great example of that. But
I've never heard. What's the black cube of
It's
Mecca?
what everybody worships.
yeah, so you know when Muslims make the pilgrimage to Mecca, like they you ever seen?
Let's just say yes. I'm aware. Go ahead.
Okay. In the city of Mecca, that is the sacred site for Islam, there's a place where they all go and they basically walk in a giant circle as they pray, and it's a giant black stone cube, and inside it's a temple with some various items, like a space rock, I think is one of them. But it's very weird that like this group that claims to be a monotheistic religion is offering prayer to a giant cube.
Well, there's supposedly a black cube on Saturn, and that's why they worship it.
Yeah.
But weird thing. So this thing starts in 1986 in the Black Rock Desert, and then Black Rock starts in 1988. So I don't know if they're like doing some kind of sacrifice to the Black Rock or something. I don't know, but that is weird. Like there's a lot of like black cube or rocks or so like anything related to stuff like whatever's on Saturn. So
Officials say the murder appears isolated. They've urged vigilance. Organizers are cooperating with police and offering a crisis support line as well as free Wi-Fi. So that's what'll get if you're not on the top tier and you want to connect on the internet at Burning Man, then just murder someone and you'll get free Wi-Fi. If this death is confirmed as a homicide, it would be the first suspected homicide since Burning Man moved to the desert. The law. Oh, and in addition, you had mentioned the OnlyFans. Apparently, there is an air-conditioned orgy dome that was also destroyed by high winds and deemed beyond repair. However, organizers hope to offer limited workshops for orgying instead. 70,000 attendees in the desert for this.
Oh my God. It's called
70,000. That's crazy.
That's a
You're
stadium.
going to give it to New York Post.
Yeah.
You have the best headlines.
Orgy Dome is crazy.
Blown away, wrecked by fierce Nevada windstorm. Worked so hard to erect our lovely. That's not the Post. That is the actual. That is the organizers of the event saying we worked so hard to erect this. But it was furiously blown and really took a pounding, and now the dome has been shut down.
Photos
Yes.
of it too, right? Oh, they even had a cool sign, Orgy Dome.
Yeah.
We should get that for the editing bay, and we have the sign up Orgy Dome. It's an orgy of thought and creativity. Come to the Orgy Dome.
No, but it's literally like I can't remember if I have another picture in here or not. It is just mattresses and red lights strung up everywhere, and the point is you go in and you're down for whatever, and it's a bunch of drug-fueled hippies having sex with anything.
Yeah.
that
How do you
moves.
not expect to get an ST? Like, do you? does
Those
somebody really
places
go
are
in?
gross. I've been to them. Not. Nope. Let me finish. And I didn't do that either at the sex club. We did comedy at. There's a place called. It's in Kissimmee. I think it's called Secrets. It's like a swingers. Lifestyle resort,
Nice.
but they would hire comedians to come in and perform, and so I went and
during the
performed.
swinging?
No,
Or in between?
No, in between. We're like the refreshments. So it's like, all right, you stop swapping wives, you go listen to some dick jokes, and then back to swapping
The
wives.
refractory period, you listen to some communities.
You walk
comedians.
in, and the place just smells like bleach. And as soon as you walk in, you're like, this is odd. And then I didn't realize at first, like, the way that the promoter booked it, he's like, no, it's like a lifestyle resort for older people.
wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's like a vacation. He's like, yeah. But when you walk in and you're like, there's a lot of beds here. And then you're like, well, that's a sex swing. And then I went, well, it smells a lot like chloroform. Not that I would know what chloroform smells like, but like bleach. There was like a weird off smell. And then the other comedian's like, yeah, this is a swingers club. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And then I told my jokes and left because I was like, this is the grossest place I've ever been inside of.
Did they pay well?
No, no. That's the worst part. Normally, when comedy shows don't pay well, they offer something to make up for the shitty pay, like
But you
free
didn't want it.
mozzarella sticks. Yes, I did not want to swing with 75-year-olds from Ocala. That wasn't exactly in my things to do. So we'll see if the person is dead. True crime does well, so hopefully this clip will pop. We'll do one more story, and then we have some clips of Jubilee to play. We're going to burn through this quickly. This is a story. I've seen the remake of the movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Stifler. Walking Tall.
Knoxville.
Somehow Stifler got into that movie.
Knoxville.
Oh, it's Johnny Knoxville?
Yeah.
Why did I think it was Stifler? Okay, I got the two confused. All right, sorry. The guy from Jackass. So much more esteem and prestige for the role of the guy from Jackass, the guy who taped his balls to or hit his balls with stuff. But the story behind this movie, which we've heard since the story happened in the 60s, they made two movies in 73
and 2004.
73's Walking Tall, and then 2004. The Rock. The movies are based off the death of Pauline Pusser. Is that how you pronounce it? Or is it Pusser?
I believe it's Pusser.
Pusser. Okay.
Bad name.
She is the wife of Sheriff Buford Pusser, who was involved in a 1967 ambush that ended up killing Pauline. So Pusser and his wife go out on patrol. I believe that Pusser was responding to a 911 call, decided for some odd reason to bring his wife along. As they're approaching the crime scene, a vehicle pulls up next to Pusser and his wife. They shoot both Pusser and his wife. Pusser was shot multiple times, ended up having to have facial reconstruction surgery. His wife died in the ambush. Pusser survives. They go on to award him all kinds of accreditations. He becomes a local hero. What state is this in? Do you remember? Is it...
Probably one of those crazy
I think it's one of the southern states, if I'm correct, but normally I'm wrong. I thought there was a band that played at Burning Man, so I'm always wrong.
Tennessee.
Yeah, McNairy County, Tennessee.
Okay, so that's like kind of mid-south. That's central United States, right?
South.
Tennessee South?
Yeah.
Tennessee's the South.
Okay, so fine. It's in
Florida
the
is
South.
not. Tennessee's the South.
Yeah, that's why it confuses me, because we are the furthest south, but we're the least redneck. Until you get to the middle of the state.
Only the Panhandle is South. Anything south of the Panhandle is not South.
Yeah, and Panhandle is okay. Those are weird people in the Panhandle. All right, so
I love you though.
So the guy is responding to a 911 call with his wife. 1967, they get ambushed. A car pulls up alongside them as they're responding to the 911 call. They shoot inside the car. The officer gets hit. His wife dies, succumbs to her injuries. They end up making movies about this, telling this guy's story. But it turns out the whole thing might be bullshit. A police department reopened a cold case in 2022, a cold case investigation into the 1967 death. A 2023 tip led to Pauline, the wife's, how do I pronounce it? Exhumation in 2024. And using modern technology, including an autopsy, ballistic reports, bloodstain analysis, and reenactments, the evidence indicates that Buford Pusser's wife, Pauline, was likely shot outside of the vehicle, not inside like Pusser claimed, and then placed inside the vehicle. Her head injuries didn't match the interior, and blood splatter on the hood supported an exterior shooting scenario. Pusser's cheek wound was of close contact, likely self-inflicted. So the shot that was involved in injuring Buford, the husband, the officer, was done at close range, likely a self-inflicted shot. I can't imagine that you hate your wife that much that you kill her and then shoot yourself. I've been very angry at my wife. I'm not saying that I'd ever kill her, but I've certainly come to the point where I'm like, oh, this bitch could go missing. We live near the Everglades. But never to actually put the gun to yourself and then pop yourself in the face as well. Pauline had also had a previously healed nasal fracture consistent with interpersonal trauma. So there may have been some type of argument or fight that happened before, and all the evidence now leads to the shooting actually happening outside the car, which means that all of this entire story, the same story that we've been told since 1973 when the first movie came out. So you're talking about 40 plus years of bullshit. It's all bullshit. Here is who is this that's speaking?
This is from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. They're
the TBI announcing the new discovery into the 1967 death of Pauline Pusser.
It's been said that the dead cannot cry out for justice. It is the duty of the living to do so. In this case, that duty has been carried out 58 years later. The TBI, then the Tennessee Bureau of Identification, took the lead on this investigation into the 1967 murder of Pauline Mullins Pusser. She was a wife, a mother, and a sister whose life ended violently and unjustly. Her husband, McNairy County Sheriff Buford Pusser reported that his wife volunteered to ride along in the dark early morning hours on a disturbance call. He claimed that a car pulled alongside his and fired several shots, killing Pauline and injuring him in what he claimed was an ambush intended for him and carried out by unknown assailants. Buford Pusser recovered from his injury. No viable suspects were developed and no charges were filed. This was a cold case for decades, but in 2022, TBI agents took another look at the archive file and coordinated with our office. That work accelerated in 2023, and in 2024, Pauline Mullins Pusser was exhumed for an autopsy. TBI completed their investigative process this year, and the file was forwarded to our office to review. The file is voluminous, over 1,000.
Well, and nothing can actually happen to the sheriff, Buford Pusser. He died in 1974. He actually died as a result of a car accident. According to reports, he was driving his specialized Corvette, failed to make a turn, was ejected from the vehicle. Some say he was intoxicated at the time of his death, driving under the influence. However, no autopsy was performed. So even if they do get to the actual truth behind this killing from 1974, I'm sorry, from 1967, it doesn't look like there's going to be any justice served because the guy who is alleged to have done it or been implicated in the death of his wife is already dead himself.
How the hell did they get the Walking Tall storyline out of that, though? Like, that doesn't sound anything like the movie. The movie, it's like a whole organized effort of a gang to kill his family, and then he goes out and systematically kills them. So why this?
You're talking about the 2004 featuring Rock?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm assuming the other one was the same way.
27% in Rotten Tomatoes. Terrible.
No, it was a good movie.
Good movie?
It was a great movie.
Good movie?
Yeah. You listen to Rotten Tomatoes?
What?
You listen to Rotten Tomatoes?
It's got 6.3 stars on IMDb.
So?
I say it was a good action movie.
113,000 people rated it. 6.3 out of 10 stars on IMDb. According to the to the 2004, the plot is a former U.S. soldier returns to his hometown to find it overrun by crime and corruption, which prompts him to clean house. Well, the sheriff was also going after a gang. I forget the name of the gang. I read the story over the course of the weekend. There was a gang that he was going after in the 60s and 70s that were involved in illegal moonshining, I believe, at the time. And so that's maybe... What?
Alcohol wasn't illegal in the 60s?
No, but
moonshine specifically?
Manufacturing
okay.
Still illegal.
Yeah, moonshine, because moonshine, I believe, is still illegal in certain parts of the country.
You need a lot of permits.
Have you ever had it?
Yeah.
I mean, I had the legal version, never had the illegal stuff.
The illegal stuff's the good stuff. That's the stuff that can make you blind. If it's not made right, it can make you blind. And I willingly drank that. Somebody's like, here, drink this. I was like, what's that? They're like, moonshine. I was like, cool. And they're like, I made it from home. I'm like, that's interesting. And then they're like, if I didn't make it right, you could go blind. And I went, all right.
Now, can we go back to the murder? All right, theories. You think he knew people were after him? He was tired of the wife. He goes like, this is a perfect murder. You think he's planning on this?
Yeah, she's probably just
how many years did he get away with?
I mean,
he got away with it.
Well, 8 because he died in 74 and the killing was in 67.
So you think it was him thinking about this? Like,
what was crazy is that apparently
he fooled everywhere.
Yeah, because apparently the first movie came out in 73 and he died in 74. He died like within days of agreeing that he would show up in a sequel to that movie to play himself. Ooh. So his career was going to take off in a crazy direction right before he died. So clearly there's stuff about this guy that was not nearly all that we were led to believe it was.
Quite the opposite.
We could do a whole episode on mysterious Hollywood murders because when you think about the Natalie Wood story, do you ever hear that of her drowning? She was with... I'm not going to do it justice. She was with a bunch of... Christopher Walken was on the boat, as well as the guy that played the $1 Million Man. I forget his name now. They were on a boat, and she was a famous actress at the time. Lee Majors. So then it wasn't that, because it wasn't Lee Majors. But there are mysterious deaths. Remember the dude that shot his wife? Robert Blake allegedly murdered his wife. There's been tons of... 2002. There's been a lot of weird, mysterious deaths in Hollywood. Maybe one day we should devote an whole Hollywood death
I like
episode.
that.
Yeah.
We're doing 9/11. Let's do Hollywood deaths next.
Yes.
I have so many questions about this. Like, I don't know. It's the plan. Was it luck? I don't know. Did people run with the thing, or was it his idea to like? I
No,
don't know.
but the guy kind of had a reputation, if from what I've read holds up. He had a reputation around the town of being like this legendary, hard-nosed, tough-on-crime kind of guy. Like, look at some of the sheriffs we have down here in Florida now.
Yeah. What's his name? Judd or something?
Sheriff Grady Judd.
Yeah.
Who everybody loves him. He's on the news all the time. He's talking about
I
you know,
love
how
that
He
guy.
can do whatever he wants, and
Yeah.
I'll believe him.
he was the guy who's like, when his officers shot a cop killer, they're like, why did you shoot him 63 times? Like, we ran out of bullets.
Would have shot him more. To your point, Pusser or Pusser fought state line mob and other organized crime elements along with the Dixie Mafia that operated along the Tennessee-Mississippi border. He went after them for bootlegging and moonshining, illegal gambling and prostitution, robbery and tourist fleecing, bribery and corruption, and violence and murder. So when you're chasing after a gang like that, it's easy for you to be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to kill my wife. I'm going to blame it on the state line mob and be like, they pulled up to me and killed her and shot me in the face. Because if you look, you can tell his face is messed up. When you look at the photos of his face before and after, that I can't imagine putting a gun to your own face and pulling the trigger. But I also can't imagine murdering my wife.
but at the same time, I think this is a botched murder suicide. That's my theory.
Oh, so you think he wanted to kill her, then kill himself? He didn't. He survived, and then he
you don't
claimed.
put a gun to your head. I'm sorry,
Your
YouTube.
mouth.
You don't. Yeah, you don't do that if you're not serious about it. So I think it's a botched murder suicide. In my take.
Well, we'll find out. Listen, it's been ongoing since, again, 1967. We're in 2025, so if my math is correct, that's what, 58 years?
Yep.
So in another 58 years, when we're all dead, we'll get answers to this.
And everything else.
Final story. It was a rather slow news cycle this past weekend, with the exception of this. Patrick Bet-David, the CEO of Valuetainment and host of the PBD podcast, have you heard of it?
Friend of the show.
Friend, yes, has been former guest of the show.
Friend of the
Patron
show.
saint of all struggling podcasts. such
He
as this.
appeared on Jubilee, which, if you've never seen it, it's a debate-style format where one person comes from a position and then they surround that person with people who have counter arguments, and then they debate different points. I've seen Jubilee clips. I did not know what Jubilee was until we started prepping for this. I'd like to give credit to these two guys as well as Connor, but these two guys were instrumental in helping prepare for this debate, just doing background research, finding different angles for us to be able to combat some of these socialist commies and their commie nonsense. But literally, thank you to Brandon and Humberto for helping with the preparation for this. It ended up going really well. We were in attendance as it happened. And Vinny said this, I don't remember the people there looking as, and I'm trying to be nice when I say this, freakishly weird as they did on camera, as they did in person. Watching it back, I'm like, I don't remember that person being there. But I remember seeing these people. They didn't nearly look as unhinged as they did when we went and watched this. It's almost like they put weirdo filters on everybody but Pat. Because every time somebody sits down, it's a person with no eyebrows and piercings, or a gentleman with very long hair talking about being around 13-year-olds all the time.
With a beard.
Yes, that one was.
Bearded dress.
And I believe that's one of the clips that went viral. But we have a bunch of the clips. This is PBD. On the Jubilee, it's 1 capitalist versus 20 socialists. Let's dive in. Connor, I'm actually going to turn it over to you since you pulled these clips. Can you set these clips up and let us know what we're watching?
So I have a selection here of some of the clips that are going around the internet. This is obviously not the full context of the video, which I believe is over 2 hours long.
And it's at like
An
1.4
hour
million
45.
views.
Yeah, and it's a very intense debate between PBD and a bunch of different people, but I want to preface this. We did not pull a selection of clips just to make our CEO look good. We have the freedom to give commentary on these things. We're not, I mean, obviously not going to stand here and insult the guy who runs our company, but we are not, trying to run some propaganda thing of just, we pulled the selection of clips. I encourage you all to go watch the video, see where you agree and disagree with Patrick. That is the whole point of the debates. That's his whole goal in doing it. So when I show you these clips, these are not ones that we have curated of just trying to find the sizzle reel where Patrick looks really good and everyone else looks stupid. This is really an accurate summary of how this episode went. This is what everyone said. This is how they looked, how they talked, the way they presented themselves. So let's roll this first one, because this is one of the ones that was flying around like crazy after this episode.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David. This is the United States of America.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialists?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not?
No.
When you're offering people here jobs, right? You're saying that. They would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to pay you money to be part of your
claims
company.
of defaming. Be very careful defaming when you don't know the facts. My first claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails. My next claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system. My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. My final claim is the US is more socialist than capitalist today. If you hate the system, you're anti-socialist. I'm Patrick Bet-David. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of PBD Podcast. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 anti-capitalists.
So that was the teaser that Jubilee put out for the episode. So you can see you got kind of a survey of who shows up for this thing. Colorful cast of characters, to say the least. So let's get into this first one where PBD offers a girl who is a self-professed socialist an all expenses paid flight to relocate to the communist country of her choosing.
Why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you are
that
moved
is
to
why
North
I'm
Korea
anti-capitalist,
or
because
Cuba or
capitalism
Venezuela.
removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend
Name me
money,
a communist country.
would you give up your citizenship to go to that country?
And I'll move
Whichever
out there.
communist country you want to go to.
Yeah,
Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to.
Communist countries. Not
Choose any one of them. I'll give you a one-way ticket, and I'll fund it for you if you want to.
That's it.
Note how she says those aren't communist countries, because that is the whole point that communists and socialists will try to argue, is that, well, real socialism has never been tried. So any example you can present to them, they will immediately dismiss.
And as far as the people in the background, so everybody's given these red flags. And when they feel that they have an opportunity, they want to chime in, they want to weigh in, they raise their red flag and wave it. If enough people raise their red flags, I believe it's the majority of people raising the red flags. And at that point, the person sitting down against Patrick has to get up and someone else takes their spot.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen it, that's why people are raising red flags in the background.
I don't know, and then they run to the seat, and I don't know if I can get into weed work for this, but I always, because I had to watch all the episodes for preparing. I watched maybe like 20 of them. I was like, how come the 400-pound lady on the very back of the thing made it to the chair before the athletic guy on the other side? And there's a movie magic going on this show, but it was really funny. Like, they never admitted that there was a communist country. Like, and one of the girls, she was like, yeah, we tried to make a communist country and it was sabotage. Every time it's sabotage. Every time it's like the capitalists turned it down. And none of them, because they could have talked to us afterwards, none of them wanted the one-way ticket to a communist country. None of them.
Now, most of them were, just to be transparent, very respectful. Afterwards,
100%.
Some of the people that Pat got into the most heated debates with came up afterwards, shook his hand, thanked him for his time. There were people that were there because they, from my understanding, the people that are on Jubilee did not know who they were going up against. So when Pat walked in, that was the first time that they knew who Pat was. I suspect otherwise. My takeaway was some of them may have been informed, not all of them, but certain people came with certain talking points that were very specific to Pat and his background in different businesses. There's no way that they could have known that without actually working for Pat or studying Pat or knowing about
But
Pat.
the minority.
Well, but that being said, they were very respectful. Afterwards, they came up, shook hands, thanked Pat for being respectful as well. It was very interesting to watch. I don't want to take shots at people's looks, but this is what I meant when I said some of the people looked very different from the way that they appeared in person to the way that they appeared on film, where they put some kind of weirdo filter on. Because this girl seems very nice. I'm assuming that she's a nice person. But something is going wrong in your life when your eyebrows look like that and you're dressed like that. I'm just being honest.
They're like penciled on.
I'm not. Look, I am not one to critique other people's looks by any means, but that is some type of trauma that's going on in your life, and that's how you're lashing out.
Speaking of trauma, yeah, this girl certainly has some kind of trauma, as she discusses with Patrick, talking about her various mental issues, and he makes an offer to try to help with some of that.
I'm also mentally ill, so that was something I had to deal with. But I'm mainly mentally ill because I am disabled in a capitalist country.
Tell me more about mentally ill. Who qualified you as somebody that's mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
Who convinced you that you're mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
What's the specific category of mental illness? Is there one? You know why I asked this question? Let me explain to why I asked this question.
So I don't even like the psychological industry. I don't really stand for like Sigmund Freudian politics or anything like that. I don't have access to even a result or a solution to my disability as someone with a connective tissue disorder. It's genetic.
Have you been able to go to different doctors and get yourself tested? And
yeah.
See? You have?
Yes.
And in California?
Yes, but not enough. I can't find a specialist.
You can't find a specialist.
I can't find a specialist for who I am.
Is there anyone in your life that's willing to pay for a specialist?
Well, they could they would if they had money, but yeah.
Would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
Yeah.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialist?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
I'm going to have you go see two. Do you live in California?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you go see 2 specialists, but would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not.
No.
So you
choose as a psychologist. You're choosing who gets to determine what my mental health looks like. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, there used to be a day where people would be defensive about being labeled as mentally ill, but now people are like defensive about being labeled not mentally ill.
Well, it's almost like a badge of honor. Like it goes back to this victimhood mentality that we talk about a lot on the podcast, but I'm a victim of my circumstances. I'm disabled. Okay, I understand disabilities happen. That sucks. But like my son is also disabled. My son has what's called hemorrhoidopathy, which means one portion of his body actually grows larger than the other. There was a point in my life where I wasn't doing as well as I am today, where financially we were struggling, and I picked up 2nd and 3rd jobs in order to make sure that we could pay for the appointments for my son, not just to go to specialists, but also physical therapy, because he had to train to be able to walk normally because one side of his body was bigger than the other. So I feel bad for this poor girl because she does suffer from some type of disability, but I even feel worse because there's nobody in her life that cares enough to work hard enough to be able to afford for her to go see the doctors that she needs to go see. Rather, they just go, wow, you're disabled, you're a victim. No, you can change that. And she chooses not to.
This is where you do almost feel bad for people in these situations, because so many of them have something vaguely resembling a point before they devolve into just delusional identity politics, because the healthcare system in the United States is nuts. It's terrible. People can't afford stuff. The simple act of trying to go to the hospital to just get checked out for an emergency can put someone in debt for years if the situation is bad enough. But the point that no one is acknowledging for this girl's case is the existence of a specialist who could help with her condition is only possible in a free system like the United States. It's not possible under a socialized healthcare system because there's no incentive to specialize. You would lose any kind of person who has a specific area of focus that could help her with her, whatever genetic.
It says that.
What do you?
I heard
that's no. But Connor,
were you guys talking shit?
She would lose access to anyone who has hyper focused on her specific genetic condition. So, while there is a problem in the United States healthcare system, it's still the best available.
The thing is, the healthcare system is the best available, but the insurance system in America, that's what's broken. It's very broken. And to what you're saying, like, people talk about Cuban doctors. I don't know if you guys heard, like, everyone in Cuba can get to be a doctor or whatever.
That's why they make the same amount of money as a fucking plumber.
They use doctors in Cuba to barter with other countries for food, for everything. They make less than a taxi driver. All right, same with Venezuelan doctors. They do educate them to become a doctor, but when the country needs something, they will send them to another country and then get something in return. It's absolutely sad. Sad.
All right, we have 3 minutes left, so let's figure out one more clip.
This one is also one going around because this gentleman has been applying for jobs for a very long time.
On this, by the way. The amount of time it takes him to come up with the amount of jobs that he actually says he applied to. There was a point where when I got laid off during the pandemic, I have a photo of it somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. I got laid off during the pandemic. I was called a reduction in force. I got laid off on June 8th of 2020, and I did not find work until mid-September of that year, so I was unemployed for about 3 months. During that time, I applied to dozens and dozens and dozens of jobs. I don't know how many right off the bat because it's been 5 years. At that point, I did know. I had Post-it notes of every single job that I applied for, and every time I'd hear back, if it was positive, I'd move a Post-it note over here. If I didn't get the position was filled or I wasn't selected as a candidate, I moved it to no. When you're working and looking for a job, it is a 24-hour-a-day process. It's not something that you forget. So when this guy stumbles between when Pat asks how many jobs and then the guy gives a number, I go, bullshit. He just made that number up because it sounded good. Yeah. Here's a clip. The guy's applied for hundreds of jobs, according to him, but hasn't had any luck until Patrick Bet-David came along.
You have on your resume skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker?
I mean, I feel like 80 hours a week.
That's a hard worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview and I give you a job? Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what you do 90 days later.
Okay, and I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But you see what just happened
regardless,
right there? But watch what you just did.
Sure.
You just said you applied to 477 companies who's not gotten back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you. You said you're willing to move. Then you said, I'll look at it. You became selective.
I didn't say I'll look at it if you'd let me finish my sentence.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I would like to look into your company to see exactly what you guys do.
You would like to?
Because I don't know what you guys do. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I may be wasting my time going. If you guys are a finance company, if you guys are a bank or something like that, I don't have the certifications, I don't have the degrees. So even interviewing me would be a moot point.
What if I gave you a job, period, to work 80 hours a week? Would you take it? And I paid you a reasonable wage.
Are we talking a livable wage or a reasonable wage?
What do you make
whose
right
version
now?
of reasonable are we talking about?
Right
Your
now?
version of reasonable or my version of reasonable?
But you see, so now, for me, what I'm noticing from you is...
I need specifics?
No, not necessarily. No, most of the people I hire need specifics. The difference is I'm trying to hire them. In this instance, you're trying to get a job and you're being selective. It's going to work against you.
I mean, I'm not trying to get a job. Originally, I was trying to ask you where the moral fell.
My offer's off the table
okay,
because you're going to be difficult to work with.
Okay, sure. But my question was, where is my moral failing? Like, where is it that you are saying that I am not working hard enough and I am not doing enough?
I just experienced it right now because the way you just handled this situation.
Got it. So I should accept anything that somebody gives me at first blush if it is a guaranteed thing.
No, not necessarily.
I agreed to do your interview. I agreed to be interviewed by you, and you agreed to consider me for hiring.
Yeah.
So therefore, I am taking that opportunity. I've chosen to. But because I am asking you for specifics, your immediate reaction is that, oh, well, you're trying to be picky. When I'm not. I'm asking
specifics. You could have simply
said I need to look up your company. That's all I said.
You could have said is I'm willing to have the interview.
And I did.
You would have had the interview.
And I did.
No, you said it depends.
I said,
I don't
yeah,
know.
sure.
Let me look.
Yeah, sure. I would look into your company. That's all I said.
I appreciate you. Thank you, James.
Poison.
Yeah, I can't imagine why he's not getting hired. He sounds like such a pleasure to be around.
We dodged a bullet with that one. Can you imagine?
I mean, he's dressed as well as most of our video editors, but
he didn't even sell it for a second though. Like the second he offered it, you started seeing the red flags right away. Not the red flags in the audience, like the red flags with his personality. I mean, you should if you're truly desperate for something. Is there a single job you wouldn't take, like that's legal, that you wouldn't take if you were truly desperate? You know, like you just described.
I'd be like, okay, let's do it, and I will go. I'm no longer an anti-capitalist. I will go sit down right now.
Yeah, and I can speak to that because similar to what Rob described before we watched the clip, a few years ago I got laid off from the company where I was working. I spent 2 months unemployed trying to find a job. Ended up going back to a temporary job that was only supposed to be for a month that ended up turning into 11. It was a job that, provided for my wife and I while I was, out of my career. Not what I wanted to do long term. It was, really just a holdover. In that time, over the course of that 10, 11 months, I sent out 97 job applications, including an application to Valuetainment. I never received a response to any of them. Now, this was over 3 years ago when our corporate structure and our recruitment process was very different from what it is now.
There was one guy.
It was one guy. I know the guy. The guy who ultimately did my interview when I got here is the guy that my application would have gone to. But so the job market is very difficult for these people who are trying to apply right now. And most of what you see, if you are on Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, scrolling a career page, it's all fake. It's all random corporate middleman nonsense. And you're applying to an AI that's looking for keywords in a cover letter. So it is a very difficult thing to find a job. So when a guy like this gets something dropped into his lap, because we all know Patrick well enough to say 100% certainty, if that guy had said yes, that guy would have had an interview immediately after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's no guarantee he would have worked out here long term. Clearly, with an attitude like that, it would not have happened. But he would have gotten the interview. And if he had been able to present himself well enough, he would have gotten the job. But for him to immediately turn his nose up at it and, oh, I'm just asking questions. No, like, that's not what you're doing. Because you started with a point of desperation and then suddenly, oh, well, I don't want that. So are you desperate or not?
Pickiness, though, like multiple people in there, they're like, yeah, I want to work right now, but I just need to do something ethical and that's aligned with my moral values.
Yeah, remember that guy. But
like, what
I
are you
don't
talking
know.
about?
These people in general, to close the conversation, these people are so predictable. Like with
97% accuracy rate.
I wish they had a camera because we're sitting next to each other and we're just bumping each other because word by word we predicted everything that these guys were going.
And I was like, no, this is too crazy. This is too far-fetched. They wouldn't say this. Like, I think that this is what I would try to make an argument with if I had to, but there's no other way they would say this. And they said everything that we said. Like, it was crazy.
It was absolutely nuts.
And like I said before, this isn't just us sitting around and patting ourselves on the back for, Patrick did such a great job. If we had more time, I'm sure we could sit around and talk about points where we might disagree with Patrick.
Anticipate everything.
Points where Patrick could have done better. And we've all had conversations, Humberto and I specifically, about like our own difficulties and complaints about a purely capitalist system. Capitalism is not the perfect system.
We don't have it right now
because it's not a political.
That's the funny thing is we have socialism right now.
But my point about capitalism is that it is great for economics, but it's not a moral framework. It's not a whole worldview. It is one approach to economics, and we could get into all that. But the point is, nobody did. None of these people did that. They all just went with the most predictable. Oh, you want grandma to die working in the sawmill? It's like, well, first of all the sawmill jobs went to Indians on H-1B visas, so there's no work for grandma even if she wanted it. But that's not what we're saying. They went with the most cartoonish, cutout, characterizations of capitalism, and I think that's why they didn't win.
It's hard for them to get to just this phase alone, so we gotta be patient with them.
Okay, well, that is it for today's show. Sorry, we're running overtime, so this is running into other things. So now I've tuned out and I'm doing other things. I appreciate you for tuning in. And if you have not done so already, make sure you like and subscribe. We are live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on the Unusual Suspects channel. You can follow Brandon Aceto's show at Brandon Aceto on YouTube. Connor, where can people find you?
I am on X, Connor-VT. I am on Minect if you want to talk to me about anything we talked about on the show today, pitch ideas for stories. And I also just created a Substack. So if you want to read any of the things I have to write over there, go search my name there. And we'll see what we can come up with.
Humberto.
I'm not a charity. I'm on Minect only. I don't answer anything outside Minect where I get paid to answer. I love that place. Download Minect immediately. It's my favorite thing. I'm sorry.
Awesome. I too am on Minect, and I'm going to Burning Man, so I will see you there. That is it for today's episode. Thank you for watching. Thanks to the guys in the back. I believe we have Jake, Malik, Andres, Julius, everybody that works hard on the show. Thank you to Connor for putting everything together for today. And most importantly, thank you to you watching at home. Make sure you join us again next Tuesday on the Unusual Suspects right here at 6 p.m. Take care. Bye-bye.